Talon number 5, written by James Tynion IV and Scott Snyder, art by Gillum March. So last issue is a whole big fight thing, but Casey, Calvin, and Sarah took out the Gotham Butcher, Talon, and they'll never see him again. This issue picks up in the Batcave, where Batman is basically just recapping the last 4 issues, and it's just like, okay, we got some sightings of him at a hotel, and then there was a kerfuffle on the street, and we got an image of him. And I'm telling all of this to you, Nightwing, because you just happen to be here. And Nightwing's like, I literally am just here to, like, fix some stuff that's around. Like, I don't know why you're telling me this. But regardless, Batman's like, hey, remember how we just got done with Death of the Family? And Dick's like, yeah, that's why things are a bit strained between us right now. Well, apparently none of that matters. So Batman basically is saying, I've been trying to pull out the Court of Owls bit by bit, so as to, suss out where they are and take them down stealthily. This guy is just wanting to start a war, and that's going to kill a lot of people. So we have to find him and stop him, whoever he may be. And then we cut to Calvin, Sarah, and I just remembered her name at the beginning. Oh, that's going to bug me. Anyway, we see all of them just relaxing and chilling and just enjoying some relaxation time in Sebastian Clark's underground bunker. And as it turns out, it's been 2 weeks that they've just been chilling here. And Sebastian comes in and he's like, hey, wanted to check on how you're recovering from your fight and maybe see if you wanted to train or something like that, because we do eventually have to get back out there. And I still can't remember her name. God, that's gonna bug me. Casey. Got it. Anyway, Casey's like, hey, whatever you're doing next, count me in. I want to help. I want to be on the front lines for this. And Calvin keeps on giving her like, oh no, we'll get to that. You don't got to worry about that right now. But when Sebastian comes in, he's like, oh hey, you want to do some training? Super cool. Let's go. We don't have to talk about any future missions at all right here, right now. And Casey is obviously pissed about that. So we see a thing where he's doing the whole Houdini's in a straitjacket, and he's given a timer of a few seconds before he's sliced up by swords and falls onto a bed of nails. He gets out of it perfectly fine. And Sebastian's like, why are you still wearing the bandages? Because you are clearly, like, totally healed. You have no problems at all. And Calvin's like, I just want to live in this little fantasy life we've got going on. Can't I just pretend that the Court of Owls aren't out there for a while? And Sebastian's like, I get it. Totally do. But they are. And the sooner we take them out, the sooner you can just live this life instead of it being a fantasy. And Calvin's like, that's not the only thing. The other thing is that obviously our next big hit needs to be Securitas, which is the company that Casey's dad made and left to her, despite the fact that she had to give it up when she went on the run. It now belongs to the Court of Owls, but like, how is Casey going to feel about dismantling this thing her father made? And Casey is listening from outside the room, and she's like, screw that place. My dad went crazy because of it, because of the Court of Owls, like, forcing him to hand it over. Screw it. Let's burn it to the ground. Don't you ever worry about my feelings like that. So at this point, we cut to high above Gotham City, where, wouldn't you know it, Gotham Butcher survived, and he's being chewed out by the Court of Owls. It's just like, hey, it's been 2 weeks, man. We thought you were the best. And he's like, well, I'm the best at tracking, and I would be tracking if Calvin were moving, but he's just staying in one place, which I've narrowed down to like a city block. And the Court of Owls is like, well, just know that we are not happy, and you better get to work, okay? And he pulls out the earpiece, crunches it in his fingers, saying, yes, masters. And then we cut to this weird little suburban family in the middle of Gotham, and there's a knock at the door. It's the butcher. He's like, hi, I'm sorry to intrude. Really, I am. But I just got some bad news, and I need to take it out on something. And he just cracks the guy's head in. So then we see Casey, Sebastian, and Calvin looking over a diagram of Securitas Island, which is apparently called the Fortress. And Sebastian's like, all right, I got some schematics. We can look over them and see like how we can get in. And Casey's like, don't bother. My dad gave away like a whole bunch of fake schematics and burned all the real ones. Nobody knows how this island works, save for the little bit I could pick up. And here's the deal. It is completely internalized. There are no outside telephone lines or internet or anything like that. Everything is in-house. If it detects any sort of explosion or earthquake or anything like that from above, it will immediately wipe all the data on all the computers. And there is like literally no way to communicate with people inside from the outside. And everyone's like, well, what do you have in mind then? Because it sounds impenetrable. And Casey relates that her father only told her one thing about the inner workings of the island, and it was on her 7th birthday. And we see a young Casey marching in with an action figure, and her dad's like, Casey, I figured it out. I figured out how to stop them from attacking from the sea. And he's just clearly nuts, mind you. And he's like, I figured it out. Give me that action figure. And he's like, oh, but it's my birthday present from you, Daddy. And she's like, shut up. Give me it. And puts the action figure in a boat and sends the boat remote controlled towards the island. And he's like, watch this. There are turbines underneath the island. And if any boat gets too close, and then the boat with the action figure just gets drawn under the surface and completely chopped up. And he's like, see, that'll stop them from coming in from the ocean. And Calvin's like, that's deeply disturbing, and you might want to talk about that, but I don't really see how that helps us get in. And apparently the turbines are able to be turned off in the event of somebody like in the company coming up on a boat, but only if they're pre-expected. So it's like, all right, well, we'll just hop on one of those boats. It's like, nope, there's a whole DNA scanning thing. And it's like, okay. So they think about it for a few minutes, and it turns out that if they can go down while the turbines are off, Calvin can swim into the turbines and get into the runoff system behind it. And then once they're in there, they're going to set off a bomb, which will wipe all the computers. That's the plan. Then we cut back to the Gotham Butcher. He's just wiping up afterwards. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry for intruding on you all, but like, hoo-wee, did I need that. Anyway, I'm going to find Calvin Rose, and I'm probably going to do the same thing to him as we see this horrifying scene that he's left behind him. So they do the scene. He's strapped on underneath one of the legitimate boats, and as the turbines turn off, he swims in underneath them. Once he gets in, he places something which does allow them a little bit of radio contact, but they have to like keep on constantly refreshing it, so it goes out every few seconds. But it allows Casey to hack into their internal documents, and she's like, oh, hey, I just saw who the current CEO is of Securitas Island, and it's John Wycliffe, which Sebastian immediately is like, oh my god, bail on all of it. He's currently the head grandmaster of the Owls. If he's there, we are screwed. Get him out of there. So obviously they can't manage to get contact with him. Calvin accidentally sets off a trap, and some bars come down trapping him, and 3 Talons come out. And apparently one of them is a grandfather to the other 2. So it's like, oh, Calvin Rose, you should have stayed in hiding. And the other 2 are like, yes, grandpapa. How funny. So that's the issue. I know I probably went too in detail with that, but they really go in detail in the book. So I just wanted to relate that. I like it. I think this book has been good from the beginning. I like how we're now going with this, still moving forward with the original plan of, taking out all of the Court of Owls assets and whatnot, but we're just slowly building the stakes over time. Now we're on this big island, which is by far their biggest asset, but of course the hardest to take down. It's an interesting formula, and we've managed to trim down the team as well. Based off last issue, it looks like they never had Casey get back in contact with her old military buddies. So, yeah, overall, I give this one I'll give it a 7.5. I can't tell you exactly why it deserves that, but it just feels right. So, yeah, 7.5.